Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mouse House Plus, brought to you by TPEnetwork.com. I'm Hank,
And I'm John.
and we're your hosts, covering every episode of Loki. Oh, man, lots to get to. This was a lot of fun, so I'm sure we're going to deep dive into everything that we each saw, so let's go.
Okay.
Episode 1 is titled Glorious Purpose, and TPE Network will be doing exclusive Loki style t-shirts on tpenetwork.com/store. Get your Glorious Purpose t-shirt now while they're available. New York City 2012. We get the Avengers Endgame sequence, but it seemed to be a little bit of some different footage, didn't you think, John?
No, I think this was all the footage from Endgame.
Yes, but it was just slightly different. Like Captain America was slightly different than the actual Endgame movie. So I think they just used like some other cuts that they didn't use in the movie.
Okay.
But it was really cool. Same Axe body spray, though, for Tony Stark.
That's right. Two Tony Starks.
Yes. Now we're in the Gobi Desert, Mongolia. Loki has crash landed, much like Tony Stark did in Iron Man 1.
That's right.
And then he jumps up on the rock because, of course, he's got to be above everybody he's around, all his loyal subjects who don't know they're his loyal subjects yet. But then he gets wrecked by that hunter with that slow motion smash to his freaking face. I was laughing so hard. That was so well done. What did you think?
Oh, no, I couldn't agree more. The 1/10th speed that he was going at, because I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, oh man, they're gonna let this thing really ride out in slow motion. Then when she walks up normal, I'm like, I'm like, yay, we're just gonna mess with Loki for an entire episode, which is perfect, all perfect.
That woman is ruthless, by the way. And was it 1/10 or 1/16?
It was 1/16. I'm sorry. I started thinking about it after I said it.
Okay, no worries. But that woman is outstanding. I can't wait to get more from her. Now, I think what's going to be very important is in this scene where we see the Skrull, who is a variant. I don't think that's, I don't think they're showing us that by mistake. I think they want us to keep in mind the whole Skrull secret invasion stuff. What about you?
Well, I mean, this isn't the only call out to that. So, I mean, there's all kinds of different things that are floating around in here. Like, and we'll get to the info video where I'll come back to this. But yeah, no, I caught that. But do you also catch possible Peggy Carter in the background?
Yeah, I don't think it's her, but yeah, I saw the woman with the similar hair and stuff. And I don't think that would make much sense considering what they go on to say when he's in front of the judge. We'll get to it in a minute.
Now, hold on. You can't say it wouldn't make much sense because how all this thing sets up in the first place, none of it makes any sense because they're just snatching anyone who isn't a part of the proper time flow. So hypothetically, it could be her without any kind of strings attached, because if she did something that wasn't supposed to happen, they would have popped up. So, like, I mean, it's just the same thing that when we get later on in the episode and we have an entire drawer of Infinity Stones. I mean,
yeah.
Who would have guessed that?
We'll get to it we'll talk about it when we get to it.
Yep.
Goldman Sachs, the little bratty young dude, man, I was crying the way he was just such a jerk, man. He was not taking any lip from these bucket heads until later on. It's a lot of fun. But the fine Asgardian leather gets disintegrated. That's a shame. That was a shame. And then, do you think the cat is similar to our cat from Captain Marvel?
It's a possibility. You didn't think about it that way, but I mean, you'd have to think that it's a cat created by these time people. That sounds weird, but I mean, okay. I mean, I noticed it on my second watch through. I'm like, hey, so they create all these people, but are they creating animals? Where are they getting the cat from?
And how would a cat be like a variant? He wasn't supposed to do this.
Yeah, and someone could argue saying, well, they could have picked him up, but you're absolutely right. It would have been a variant. So I don't know. I thought that was weird.
Now we finally answer that age-old question: is Loki a robot? And he is not. Thank goodness.
Yep.
That was so funny, man.
Dude, this is our call out to the life model decoys, by the way.
Yes, it was a good one too. The way they integrated stuff in this episode was really well done.
Oh man, his unsure of himself, and then the guy's like, just come on, man, just come on.
I also kind of thought this was more of a vision kind of kind of a reveal. Like, wait a minute, what if you didn't know that you were this and that and the other?
Exploding from the inside out. Yes, so good.
Take a ticket, bro. That was so awesome, man. You got to get a ticket. And he's like, there's nobody else here. He's good. But Miss Minutes gives us the multiverse explainer. I needed that more than the show needed it, to be honest. But we get that revelation again, Nexus events. Just like I was saying about Wanda in WandaVision, they're reiterating this. And then they have that multiverse. And then they use the term madness also. So you know where they're going with all this.
Well, it's also a big clue to Secret Wars, which we're going to get down the road. But I mean, this is what happened in the comic books. Like in the comic books from the last Secret Wars, like all the different universes basically had to compete against themselves because how the comics were going is that you had one Earth heading for another Earth, and they were going to basically collide. The only way you can stop this is one Earth has to destroy the other Earth. So that means that the people have to do something to destroy the other Earth. And then in the end, it culminates to the combined world that Doom rules over. So this seems like it is, this kind of came about from that comic book line showing that now there's only one timeline, but we know that through the quantum realm that there's more than that. So that means that they have a large chunk of the timelines, but not the absolute. Not to mention that I think that they are the 10666 or 1066 or something like that is their world. And I mean, if that's the case, then how do we have the comics and everything else? Because they are doing a good job of addressing between the two.
Which one were you saying is the 10?
Oh, I thought that the cinematic universe was like 1066 or something.
I thought it was the 199999.
Oh yeah, 199999. Yeah. So, but here's what I believe. I believe that you've got one timeline here, and they're trying to maintain this one timeline. Whenever there's any kind of spurs that come off of it, they destroy that. But if there are already timelines that have spurred off even further down the road, even though that they do show that they're in France in like 15 something,
1549.
They're only monitoring this one timeline. But I guess we'll find out when we get towards the end. But Did you notice the middle Time Lord?
What about him? I looked at him, but what about him?
That's a pretty close drawing to our new bad guy for Ant-Man 3.
Oh, okay. We'll get to that later on.
Okay.
Loki has his ticket at least. And that was great. That scramble for that ticket as Mr. Goldman's sack silver spoon gets disintegrated or trimmed or whatever they pruned, as they call it.
Oh, hold on. When we were still, sorry, there's one last thing I forgot off of that video. While we were watching that news video, going back to the scroll thing, in the video, there's a battle that's going on that's being done by the Kree versus either Thanos' army or maybe it's the Nova Corps, and it's happening on Titan. So it's not like they're leaving any of these characters out. They are showing them, even in a cartoon form, they're showing that these different races are there.
Yeah. In 1549, the TVA are investigating an anomalous attack. They find a child who has been given some kablooey. Was it gum or candy?
It is called a plot hole, is what it is, because how is she chewing gum with a brand new pack of gum?
Maybe that's the second pack.
Oh, so she just choked down an entire pack of gum?
Yep. It's the last piece of the first pack. Got the second pack that's intact. That's awesome. Oh, that's pretty good though, John.
But why wouldn't he have tried to confiscate anything else from her if that's the case? Where's the wrapper or whatnot? So
yeah, right. They send Loki's files to our main Mr. Mobius, and he is instantaneously intrigued. But Loki tells the TVA they should arrest the Avengers, and that's exactly what I was saying. So this, to me, like the Peggy Carter stuff wouldn't make sense because Captain America is the one that traveled. She didn't travel.
Yeah, but you're thinking of only one timeline. So this is like an infinity amount of timelines that something could happen. If anything were to happen that would involve Peggy Carter, and she was only involved in pretty much the making of the MCU, and that's a good reason why they would catch her. So it's not like, what she did right now and it makes her, or sorry, what we've seen her do makes her end up there. It's the stuff that we don't know that she could have possibly done in a different timeline that she spurred off.
Yeah, I don't think so, but we'll
okay.
we'll agree to disagree. All right, so the Avengers were supposed to time travel, so that's why they're allegedly not in any trouble, which I found to be a little bit of a plot device to just segment Loki off in his own, but whatever.
Well, hold on. It's not necessarily were they allowed to do it. It's just sorry. And I mean, in the universe, were they? No, but the timekeepers allowed them to do it. So
Right.
that means that there's a purpose of why they would have done that, because they're trying to make this timeline end up in it with an end goal of something specific.
Right. Or just lazy writing.
Well, I mean, if it's who I think it is that's in here, and this is going to be our first mentioning of him, then it's working towards his end goal in the 31st century.
Loki's magic doesn't work in this location, so that was kind of funny to see him summoning his magic and it's not working. So nothing works, no kind of powers and such work in there. But Agent Mobius wants to use Loki for his work. And he calls Loki a pussycat, which I found to be hilarious. Like, I cannot separate Owen Wilson from each character he plays because he's always Owen Wilson to me.
Well, and the funny thing is, like, when we get to the end and he's like, yeah, we're going after you. So he's calling him a pussycat, going after someone that's even worse than him, but it's him.
Right.
So I kind of like, when we got to the end, I'm like, wait a second. That statement didn't make any sense now.
Loki gives Mobius his plan to conquer Earth and pretty much everything. What are you going to do next? Then I'd conquer this one. Then I'd conquer that. Then I'd take over that. And I'm like, why don't you just say you want to take over the entire world, the whole universe?
What about the Josta?
Oh, the outdated energy drink?
The 1990s first Pepsi production of an energy drink, Josta.
Josta. There was something else, too. There was a tea or something else on the desk.
See,
that was from the old 80s, I want to say.
I have to say this for this whole setting. I absolutely love this retro 60s, 70s look, but they still have like technology that's even far beyond anything that we've been dealing with. But then everything else has to look cheesy. Like they're using rotary phones and their screens are huge. And like that first intro coming into the lobby, and just how they had the lobbies set up, like you're like, how this thing looks like it's been here for since the 60s or 70s, honestly. And I think this was a perfect touch to make everything even more awkward, because you're like, okay, so we're living in the world of tomorrow. This is all the tomorrow stuff that we saw in the 70s, and it's just as cheesy now as it was then.
Yeah, it just kind of reminded me of Doctor Who a little bit, the old ones.
Mm-hmm.
We get to see Loki's greatest hits or his greatest lowlights, whichever you want to say. But the Phil Coulson mention, yes, I jumped out of my seat. Loved it.
Yeah, but that just confirms that he's dead in the MCU.
Yeah, so on that branch.
Hey, but what about the DB Cooper part?
That was stupid. That was really stupid. Like they were
funny.
Like, yeah, we just left that one alone. That's why this episode to me has some problems, but I'll get to it in the review portion.
No, they said that they were watching, but I do love it. I mean, the thing is, like, it was a bet. There's the thinking that like Thor and Heimdall was like, yeah, you're gonna go and do this.
It's dumb.
Yeah,
but whatever. Mobius and Loki argue about the TVA. We get to see what happens on his real timeline which enrages Loki. You led them to your mother and all that stuff. I was like, oh man. The best move he did in the episode, and I saw it in real time, was when Mobius helps him up and Loki does the sleight of hand with his left hand and gets that device from Mobius. That was really good. I love how he did that.
Well, see, I knew he did it there. I didn't catch him doing it, but I knew he had to have done it there. It's the only time that they're in contact. But yeah, he got the remote for the time twister. Let's talk about these time twisters for a second. This is a genius tool that I was telling one of my friends who's a dungeon master. I'm like, yeah, exactly how it worked. I'm like, if you really want to mess with somebody, this is the greatest tool to do it when you're just resetting them over and over again. And then whenever he throws the chair and he resets them, he's like, oh, it doesn't reset the furniture. This gimmick was pretty good. I enjoyed it a lot. Anything to basically make Loki look like a fool over and over again. I was all about it.
Casey doesn't know what a fish is when Loki threatens him that he'll gut him like a fish. What's a fish? I was like, oh my gosh. But he gets the Tesseract, and then he sees all those Infinity Stones that you use as paperweights, I guess, at the TVA. And then Hunter B-15, she tries to prune Loki, but he thankfully escapes. But Casey's cart, press F in the chat room for Casey's cart, because that thing and everything in it, all those Infinity Stones, just went up in smoke. They have been pruned.
Well, and this is interesting. So if you ever gone back and take a snapshot of all the stones that were there, you would notice that the primary culprits of stones here are either the time stone or the reality stone, which completely makes sense if you're screwing with the timeline. Although there is one a soul stone in there, and then there's a couple of space stones and one power stone. So it's not completely exclusive, but looking at the picture here, I see 5 time stones and 4 reality stones, and only 2 space, 2 power, and 1 soul.
And an epic baseball card and some chips in there too.
Yeah, I think there's some also some tickets to go see a play or something, and it looks like there's a cross. Who knows? They're all just MacGuffins that get zapped in a moment anyway, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Loki's able to escape using that device, but he just goes back to that room so he can watch the rest of his footage, and he watches his mother again, which brings him down, plus other events, which include his own demise, where he thought he was going to be some legendary stuff, but guess what? Nope, you just get your neck snapped by Thanos, who messed with time also and didn't pay any penalty for it.
Which, by the way, it was being hinted at whenever they were having their conversation. Because it was funny, because if you're looking at their expressions, whenever he's hinting at, trying to play the little part to, take something bigger, and you're thinking that with Thor, but in reality, he's talking about Thanos in this. Now, this is also interesting because after he catches, sees the fact that there's so many Infinity Stones and that they do absolutely nothing, this breaks him. He now knows that he is not the most powerful thing in the universe. In fact, nothing is as powerful as where he is currently. And I'm pretty sure that's the only reason why he's helping, is because now he's going to try and get the upper hand in this world. But yeah, I mean, we've never seen a broken Loki like this before. Usually has a plan behind him. In this case, he was just like, I got nothing. You guys, I can't do anything. I can't go anywhere. And you guys are basically just going to try to attempt to zap me out of existence. So,
and then at the end of his reel, we have that 616 on the end of the tape. So 616 is not the MCU. So does that say that this is not going to be connected to the real MCU?
Nah, this is just their call out to the real comic book line. I mean, it's the same thing like whenever they called the bus, its call numbers were 616.
Right. Then Hunter B-15 shows up, but he turns the tables on her and just starts messing with her with the time. Oh, that was great. I'll be honest, I loved that.
Oh, yeah, just making her just kind of like zip back and forth, and then pops her back in front of the guy, and he's complaining. He's like, I don't know who that person is. She came in, she stole my car. Oh, hi.
She's outstanding, so I hope they really do something with her character.
Oh, so far, everyone who's been in there is terrific.
Yeah.
I
Loki gives us some insight on his behavior. So him telling us all about his difficult, he's got to do this because it puts out this exterior that he's able to do this, that, and the other and such. I thought that was really well described. And I kept forgetting that this was Avengers, the earlier Avengers Loki instead of the Loki we just saw. I kept kind of losing sight of that until we got to the end here.
Yeah, I was
like,
actually I was expecting him to make comments on his outfit, being like, "Oh, I like how that looks on me," or something like that, because it basically changes and progresses and gets better after he sees all different Thor movies. Now, I think that was great too. Whenever he's going around, basically saying, "And this is when the Dark Elves show up and they kill your mom," and he's like, "No, it's not," and you're like, "Oh, no, it happened. Not to you, but it happened."
You're right. Yep. All right. Mobius tells Loki the variant they are hunting is him. What a mind melding incident right there. And then we have Salina, Oklahoma, 1858. So I guess the hunters, they're called Minutemen. Mm-hmm. They pretty much get pruned themselves and burned up. And did you notice like what they used to reset the time?
Oh, the little time, like the little jar.
Don't they look like Agatha Harkness's purple and then like the Power Stone orangey yellowish and such?
I mean, we really haven't seen one go through all of its throws, so I mean, I'm not gonna say that I think that it's that, but I mean, it was an interesting device,
right? And on the earlier in the episode, they had a couple different charts where it showed an individual and then it showed variants branching off. One of the charts had 5, I think, and the other one had like 9. So did they make it clear like how many variants you create when you have a situation like that?
No, I don't think they did make it clear.
Okay. I was just curious because if it was 5, it would kind of make sense because there's 5 episodes remaining. Like go get them, go catch them, eat one an episode or something.
So in this ending, so we see this shovel that is from the 3rd millennia, and that would be the second call out to. Can I say it now?
If it's not in the episode, it's a spoiler, so it should be in the spoiler zone.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll wait.
So that's just how they get frustrated if it's not in the actual episode.
Yes, sir. Okay.
All right. Let's go into our rating for this episode. It sounds like you liked this debut episode a little better than I did.
Oh, I've watched it like 3 times already now. I think it's hilarious. Everything about it is hilarious. Just demeaning Loki like he is, and just all the especially when you have like fun time stuff like this, the settings, everything. I mean, I really liked what they did with this. I feel that they came out with a powerful first episode that is, if you were looking for something to draw you into this show, this episode was that. And I'm giving it a 10.
Wow. Now, this guy was giving me a hard time about scoring last week on the Bad Batch, and now he's giving out 10s.
But my rating is, was I on the edge of my seat, and was I engaged in the show the entire time?
What is the bar for the rest of the season then?
Better be as good as this one.
They'll be better than this one. So what are they going to be, 11, 12? I can't give it a 10 because
you won't let me go that high.
It is not as cut and dry as you may seem to think. To me, it's like the how come the Avengers, Thanos, that all they don't get in any trouble and stuff. That was kind of shaky and silly to me. A lot of this was just table setting, which you have to do because it's the premiere episode. But it was a really good episode, but it was not perfect or outstanding. Not yet. They haven't gotten to anything serious yet. So this is a proficient 8 out of 10.
Okay, so when we go over to the spoiler zone, I will explain why everything that you said is possibly wrong.
Oh, goodness. We got one piece of feedback from our good friend Giovanni from Italy. Love to hear from Giovanni. So let's see what he has to say. Hello, guys, and thank you for your excellent podcast. I was a listener for many years of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan podcast, and I'm glad to have found this one by chance. That troubles me, though, John, because a lot of people are saying that, like, they don't know we're doing this. So it is something I'm going to have to try to do a better job of, is making people aware of what we're doing. So on Mouse House Plus, we're going to cover all the Marvel Disney Plus series. And then on the Mandalorian fan podcast, we're going to cover all the Star Wars series on Disney Plus. So I hope that I can continue to reiterate that enough to where everybody that has followed us will come over to the shows. Giovanni says, Loki's first episode was simply perfect, amazing, one of the best products Marvel can offer. Now I can understand with only 6 episodes, it is like having 3 movies with the same quality level, or maybe even more than the big movies. Whoa, slow down. I know every single Marvel fan is still astonished, as I was, after the 10 seconds during which the Marvel simply destroyed what they built along phase 2 and 3. I am talking about the Infinity Stones paperweight scene. That was simply unbelievable. How to turn upside down 10 years of movies in just 10 seconds. That's amazing. Wow. What do you think about that comment?
No, I couldn't agree more. Like it's just watching some of that, you're like, oh yeah, hey, how about that? We don't even care about what happened with the last 3 phases of this whole thing now. See, we're just going to start over with showing that the Infinity Stones are worthless.
Giovanni goes on to say, have you noticed the clear reference to the movie of Star Trek Generations? What they call the Nexus event is a quote to that specific movie, where we have the Nexus, an energy wave that can create alternate realities throughout the universe. John, you're our resident Star Trek fan. Do you know about this?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I am not a huge Star Trek fan, so I don't know anything that is being discussed here.
Now, I don't necessarily think that it is actually part of it, but it's the energy ribbon that is the Nexus. But what happens is, it's basically, he's right. It creates a personal dimension for yourself, for everything that you wish could ever happen happens. But it's very specific. It's, unless you're conscious of what's going on, you don't have the ability to interfere with another person doing the exact same thing and wherever in their mindscape. And the energy ribbon travels through space, but I mean, I think that in reality, it's they keep on saying Nexus because, just like you mentioned before, and how we mentioned in the Wanda and Vision series, that they're trying to help make a standard for something or someone whenever they do start doing all the reality jumping, like all the different dimensions. Because just like you said, I mean, if she's the one person who could do it and not screw stuff up, right? And this is the group that's technically in charge of this Nexus. So I think that's what we're referencing right now, is the fact that there are that they're the people that monitor, but then there's also people who can interface and not, and it won't mess with them. So it makes me wonder. So does that mean that the Scarlet Witch, she can go mess with stuff, and they can't do anything because she's a Nexus person?
Yeah, maybe so.
Okay, all right.
She's their leader. No, I'm just kidding. All right, can you please also talk about the other people who arrived in the TVA together with Loki in that one first scene? I think we already did. We covered the not Sharon Carter, the Skrull, and Goldman Sachs guy. Was there anybody else, John?
No, I mean the Peggy Carter. I'll keep saying it again.
That's what I just said. Not Peggy Carter.
Oh no, I'm saying yes, Peggy Carter.
Oh, it's not her. I wish to know more about who they are. So I think we've got that one covered. Then the level of acting of Tom Hiddleston is one of the highest in the whole MCU. I would even say at the level of the big stars like Robert Downey Jr. and Scarlett Johansson. I want to say something about that because, yes, when you think about all the actors they have top level actors. When you think about the very, very pinnacle, you would think Benedict Cumberbatch, Tom Hiddleston. Here's the catch. Tom Hiddleston plays a character who gets to show that range. whereas Benedict Cumberbatch is saddled with a character who does not get to show that range, in my opinion. What do you think?
No, I think that he does a very good job in the fact that he expresses himself out beyond just having like a specific role. So, and I don't really think that Scarlett Johansson actually is. I mean, she's acting, but I almost feel that she's kind of being normal. I don't know what else she's kind of acting outside to be the role until we see this movie, that if they ever, put it out. And I'm trying to think anyone else who would be just as drastic, but Spider-Man, like, wow, how they do him, we can totally believe that the actor playing Spider-Man could be Spider-Man,
right?
And same thing with Robert Downey Jr. I agree, and same thing with Captain America. I think there's a couple other characters in there that we could probably like swap out with somebody else if we really wanted to. I mean, I'm not saying I want to, but if we're talking about acting wise, I do agree. I think Tom Hiddleston's one of those highest people up there with the range to make you convinced that he is Loki.
Yes. And he goes through all sorts of emotions.
Yes.
Not many of them get to do that.
Yeah, in this one episode.
Yeah, definitely. So Giovanni says, thank you, guys. And that's Giovanni from Italy. Giovanni, thank you so much for tracking us down. So I hope I can do a better job of getting people on board for the rest of the series. John, do you want to head to the spoiler zone?
Oh, man, I do.
And remember, gang, if you want to check out all the shows we do, as a quick reference, tpenetwork.com/follow. So you can subscribe to the shows for free by heading to the website. All the little buttons are there. And we're available on Podcasting 2.0 compliant apps. So if you know what that means, then you just know what that means. If you don't, then get us wherever fine podcasts are served. All right. Make sure you check out our glorious purpose Loki themed t-shirt. Should be available by the time this episode is out or shortly thereafter. And all the cool shirts we have at the tpenetwork.com store. Also, every Thursday, I live stream on StreamYard. Go to destinations like Facebook, facebook.com/TPE Network, and YouTube, youtube.com/TPE Network. So come join me, 6 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday. Last week, I talked to Tim from Ivory King Gaming on Facebook, and we had a blast. The chat room was on fire. So come in, say hello, and hang out. All right, that is going to do it for the regular portion of the show. We're going to hide behind the spoiler zone curtain so we can talk a little bit of smack about this character we shall not name here. So let's get behind that curtain, shall we, John?
Okay.
TPE Network. There ain't nothing else like it.
Fake ending. All right. So here we are, ready to get into this character. So go ahead, give them who the character is, give them some backstory if you have some, and why you think he's tying into this.
Okay, so they have dropped multiple hints that Kang may be in this. Now, we may see the actor playing Kang, but if you look at the 3 time people, that middle one does have a slight resemblance to the actor that will be playing Kang. Also, our second call out to Kang would be when we find the shovel at the end of the episode. Now, the shovel's from the 3rd millennia, which Kang is from the 31st century, the 3rd millennia. So this entire thing, and the reason why everything is set up that the way it is, and why the Avengers were able to go through time, and why Thanos was able to go through time, is because Kang is trying to get the world to a point where he could just come and take over without any kind of resistance. I mean, because the only people that would like really truly stand in his way would be the Infinity Stones, Thanos, and yes, the Avengers. But the Avengers just lost a person, and it's kind of discombobulated at the moment. So I believe that we are going to get a lot of call outs to this. Not to mention that, see, Kang is as of all things. I did, actually I had to look this up before because I don't know why I didn't do a lot of back history on Kang, but apparently he is like the bad guy in Marvel Lego 2. So I was looking it up, but yeah, he's just a human from the future that has technology beyond anything of our recognition to the point where he is like a super powered being. So that's all he wants to do, is he just wants to travel through time, find periods where he could take over and try to basically rule with like an iron fist. And considering that we're going to be rolling into these future movies, we already know that he's going to be a bad guy and he's already a time travel, and we're now dealing with the time travel police. So it would make complete sense for this to be the actual introduction to him, to Kang, and not necessarily waiting for Ant-Man. Now, I'm just saying that when Ant-Man comes, then the cover will be pulled up and we'll see Kang himself there. But I have a feeling that one of these three timekeepers just so happened to be Kang.
All right. Let me ask you this. So he's supposed to be, in the comics, he's related to Reed Richards, correct?
Yeah, it's not guaranteed. Because there's also, I got a comic over here that says that it's possible that he could be related to Doom as well. I mean, he even tells Doom that directly.
Okay, because the actor that has been cast is not related to Reed Richards.
Yeah.
If you go by, I'm black, the actor's black.
Well, I mean, but and the character's blue. So,
yes.
Yeah. No, it's kind of like
so if he loses to the Avengers, he's going to be beaten black and blue.
Oh. No applause. No applause.
Oh.
So, I mean, and Kang is a very interesting character altogether because he does stuff for himself. But like, for example, the comics, this Doom comic that I have, where basically Kang comes and helps Doom because he's like, yeah, without you here, the future that I'm looking for to take over won't work. So he helps Doom get all of his stuff back just so he can make sure that he's going to have a proper outcome. That's the reason why I do believe that he has something to do with this series, because, if we have one timeline, we have one stream, and he is looking for the goal at the end, yes, he would be in control of every single thing in that stream and not wanting it to branch off anywhere. So
that makes sense.
Okay. But it's not just him. There is one other thing, and I'm glad we got to save this to the end. But what about our Mephisto call out, huh? I mean, she pointed at the devil on the window.
And no.
And then
they're talking about Loki, the Loki that they're after.
No.
Yes.
Okay, what happens?
It is not Mephisto.
Yeah,
but they did make a Nightmare reference.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
That was cool because I was like, he goes, "I'll help you burn that department down," and I was like, "Oh snap!"
But now you know what? It's okay. They're giving us too many red herrings for him not to exist in the MCU now.
Right? Yeah.
So I have a feeling that when we get to Ghost Rider, if we ever get to Ghost Rider, that we might be able to hammer down more of Mephisto out of that. But I mean, we had plenty of references of him in WandaVision, and it's it's just going to be
starting this one out.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it's it's Mephisto. That's why, because you were asking for some shirt ideas, and that's why I was like, we just say it's Mephisto again, and we just so there you go. Every single new series, we just say Mephisto with a question mark. We just change the color of the shirt. So this one would be green.
Captain Mephisto and the Winter Mephisto.
Yeah.
And then Mephisto.
No, Wanda Fisto. Wanda Fisto.
Okay, I think we're done here.
What else is coming up here soon? What other series? They're gonna
Hawkeye.
You mean Mephisto Eye? It's
It could be.
she Mephisto,
Yup.
Miss Mephisto.
Yes, the Mephistos.
Yes.
Oh, this is awful, but funny. All right, John, anything else?
I cannot wait till next Wednesday for the episode to come out.
They're going to be great. It's going to be great. You
And
already know it.
I'm sad. I'm already sad it's only going to be 6 episodes. But
Me too.
let me ask you this before we jump off, because I have not looked yet, and I know how we like to discuss this sometimes. So how long is the next episode? Do you happen to know?
I did not look. I apologize. I did not check it out.
Oh, it's fine. I was just curious because, I mean, this one was, what, like 45 minutes?
It was almost 50, but, 45 of actual, 45 of actual
and if they
good content.
If they kept 45 minutes of good content for all of them, I think I'd be okay. But if they start dropping it back down to 30, then we're going to be like, we're going to be asking for more the entire time.
I agree. I don't want a 30-minute of this one. They got to at least be 45.
No, absolutely.
But outstanding stuff, John. Thank you so much. Appreciate you carving out the time.
You're welcome. Thanks for doing this because, like, I've done nothing but talk to people about this show. And, like, it's funny because I got, like, the posts of Loki with it when he got his, like, clothes all burnt off of him. That I keep sending that to people that I know is absolutely in love with the Loki, Tom Hiddleston Loki character. And I'm like, well, here you go.
You have this. Axe body spray somewhere in there, too, probably.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, that would have been great if they had a drawer full of those. It's the Tony Stark Axe body sprays. We just use them as paperweights. Oh, that'd been awesome.
What did Tony Stark say? Like he has it for emergencies?
Yep. That was my emergency stash or something. Man, yeah. I love that they kept Ant-Man on the arm too. I was like, yeah.
I mean, they're being flawless about making sure that there's no continuity issues in regards to what they're doing. So if they end up doing something which we feel is going to be rewriting something else that's already happened, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a reason for it that we will end up seeing.
Yeah, and we'll be fine with it too. We'll all be like, yep, okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay, what? We're going to have another Loki episode? Of course I'm going to be fine with it.
Awesome. So join us every Friday night, Saturday morning-ish, depending on how lazy I am when it comes to editing, for the Mouse House Plus recaps of Loki. For John, I'm Hank. Until the next time, we're signing off.
TPE Network. There ain't nothing else like it.